Hi everybody, thanks for tuning in. Nothing fancy here with another knife review. Thanks again to Skaggs Police Supply in Salt Lake City for hosting it. I appreciate it. These are their knives. These are not in my own collection, therefore this is kind of a first look on these knives. Not a super detailed review on it because I obviously haven't put them to the test yet. However, let's look at this one. This is a really good looking SigTac folding tactical knife in plain edge. I think the catalog number on this is FX2PG. I could be off on that. Sells here at Skaggs for about 105 bucks. It's a really nicely executed folding tactical design if you ask me. The blade itself is kind of reminiscent of that AK-47 knife by Cold Steel. It's kind of an interesting blade design. Kind of like a modified drop point Tanto with a Bowie clip on the bottom. Not too bad. Comes razor sharp out of the box. I'm very impressed with that. So they did a really good job sharpening it from the factory. I think all new knives should be super sharp as they get in our hands. Then it's got that reinforced tip here coming down, kind of like a Tanto design a little bit. So it's kind of I call it AK-47 clip design because that's just what it reminds me of, that Cold Steel design there. And I think it's functional. It's not a super big blade. I'd say it's about 3 1/4, maybe 3.5 inches long. Again, I don't have the specifics on this exact blade. However, that's how I'd estimate it. And I'm sorry, I didn't do research before because I actually didn't know if Skaggs would let me review here. But it turned out nicely. Thank you, Skaggs. So I don't have the specifics on this knife. I have read about it before, but I forget the steel. The stamp on the tang says N690 CO. So I don't know if that's a steel. So I really can't speak to the steel on this model. I apologize for that. However, at the price point that it sells for, again about 105 bucks here at Skaggs, I would assume it's a fairly quality steel. It's got that totally useless blood groove in it. That's only for looks. I don't think it does much for us. I think the blade would be improved if it was a full flat grind, if it came all the way up to the spine here, and maybe did away with that blood groove. However, it's about marketing often in knives. They're trying to make it as appealing as possible to their target audience, which are cops, military, and civilians. And we all like good looking knives, and I think the blood groove kind of falls into that. It's just an aesthetic addition to the blade that makes it look a little bit cooler. It also is stamped in Italy, so this looks like an Italian made knife, by the way. How's the lockup on this knife? Well, it's tight, impressively tight. There's no movement whatsoever, up, down, side to side. It's really good. So good job on that. Sig, they did a really good job. By the way, I'm a huge fan of Sig knives, and I was glad to see that they're branching out into, I'm sorry, I said knives, I meant guns, Sig guns, and I'm glad to see them branching out into knives now. So I hope the line is successful. How about the handle? Well, it's a skeletonized 7000 series aluminum handle, and I think the skeletonization, if that's a word, is actually quite cool and very functional in that it makes this knife really light. I would put the weight at this knife at about 3.8, maybe 4 ounces, be my guess for it. And it's really nicely done. However, there are some disadvantages with going to this style of knife. That is that it will be packed full of crud, mud, lint, MRE, whatever you got going there can easily pack in those sides, and you're going to have yourself a nice little mess to clean up. Now granted, it's probably easy enough to clean up with some high pressure water, no big deal. So it's just a consideration. If you go with a skeletonized design of any kind, there will be crud that can pack in that handle, so don't kid yourself. This is a liner lock mechanism, somewhat stiff in its lockup. It locks up nice like we said, however that clip takes a little bit of effort to undo. Not bad. Deployment speed is adequate. I wouldn't put it on par with most Benchmades. However, like I said in some of these newer knife reviews, these are new knives, and therefore I haven't lubricated them, and I haven't tinkered with the pivot screws to make them faster. That being said, this has an interesting pivot screw. It's kind of like a cross blade slot design. I'm not really sure how you would adjust that, and I haven't looked on the other side underneath the clip obviously, but I'm sure you could maybe use a screwdriver, but it'd be hard to do it without scratching that pivot screw up, just by the way. So the handle is comfortable, by the way. It is short, but it is a folding, compact lightweight tactical knife. Therefore, you can't ask for everything. The handle's a little bit short for me. There is jimping on the back side of that blade with that raised portion of the spine. I like that, and it's functional. It's nice and sharp. It does give you a good purchase with your thumb. Really nicely done. The radius on the handle is comfortable. How about reverse grip? Not super comfortable. The reason is this choil portion right here is not very deep where you'd seat your pinky. It is doable, but it's not super comfortable. That brings us to the clip. Clip is that, I hate it when they do that. That stupid pivot mounted clip. This is such a nice design, and it's almost ruined by that pivot clip on there. Because it could have very easily put it on the end here, or at least give us an option, drill and tap the portion of that handle here so we could reverse that clip if we wanted to. Now granted, it's reversible from left to right on the pivot side, however not on the inside, unfortunately, and that's a shame too, because this is such a good knife design. It would be really made better if they put that, or at least give us an option to reverse that clip so we can do a tip up carry, which I think is a faster deploying carry, especially for right-handers, at least me. So how about the look? The overall look is handsome. This is a handsome knife. It's done well. That olive drab matte aluminum handles is just good looking, as is the black blade. And again, that aesthetically pleasing blade just blends really nicely in the overall scheme of the knife. So as a first offering from SigTac, this is an excellent knife. In fact, this is a knife I'd want to add to my collection. I think it's good enough. The quality is superb. The fit and finish is excellent. It seems like it's a strong knife. And the steel, again, I don't know the specifics about the steel, but I would suspect that it's quality enough for the purposes we'd apply to this knife. It's got the nice SigTac logo there in olive drab, and that olive drab handle. It's just a good looking knife. So for $105, maybe a little bit less if you search around, I think it'd be a great addition to your tactical knife collection and for using as well. Again, this is a SigTac. I think the model was FX2PG straight edge. Really nice knife. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks again to Skaggs for letting me come in and review some of their knives. They're a really great place to come out and check out really cool stuff, especially if you're LE or military. Thanks again, guys. We'll talk to you soon.